What's up, everybody? It's Jared with Capture the Magic. And when it comes to new theme parks, there's lots of announcements. Many times things get funded, but many times these projects end up not going anywhere, as building theme parks is a very expensive endeavor. And there was a theme park that got announced a couple of years ago. They got a lot of headlines because it had a lot of ex-Imagineers behind it. I think they had 20 some odd ex-Imagineers that were behind this project. And this was the American Heartland Theme Park that was going to be built in Oklahoma. I did a video on it last year talking about how it looked really promising, how the concept art looked really cool, but it seems as time has gone on that this project is likely done and will not be fulfilled. And this article here from Attractions Magazine and another one we're going to look at from That Park Place is going to go into what happened here. And I guess we could talk about what if when it comes to this park, what this park would have been like. But this from Attraction Magazine said, American Heartland Theme Park planned for Oklahoma is the subject of a lawsuit which claims the project was shrouded in fraud and describes the theme park as failed. The plaintiff, Gene Bickle, a primary investor of the American Heartland Theme Park, filed a lawsuit against Rick Salanskas Jr., Larry Willwhite, and Steve Hidrick on July 25th, 2025. In Oklahoma. The lawsuit says that the defendant sent Bicknell hundreds of texts and emails pretending to be God what? And another 100 messages from a fictional nun named Sister Catherine, coercing Bicknell into funding a total of over $60 million. Is this kind of like the Nigerian princes that send you money, that asking for money? I don't know if God uses email. I don't think God uses email. I mean, maybe Sister Catherine does, but I think God has other ways he can talk to you. The only construction that ever took place for the American Heartland was a gravel road and a fence. The park theme to the United States was announced in July 2023 as coming to Veneta, Oklahoma on Route 66 in the fall of 2026. By October 2024, the park was reportedly delayed, and the 1,000-acre property was already planned to include 3 ponies, RV park and campground, and a 4-star hotel with an indoor water park. It says, while no formal announcement has been made regarding the future of American Heartland Theme Park, the lawsuit says the project fell apart and failed toward the end of its 68 pages. The lawsuit says, as of this writing, there has been no further progress on the project American Heartland, leaving behind millions of dollars in debt, multiple legal proceedings with the prospect of more to come, and in Northeast Oklahoma, a profoundly disappointed community. Says Salanskas, Willwhite, and Hidrick are charged on 7 counts: racketeering conspiracy, civil conspiracy, fraud, deceit, constructive fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and unjust enrichment. Salanskas was previously involved in the failed Dream Vision theme park. Well, this guy has a track record. American Heartland Theme Park was planned to feature 6 lands: Liberty Village, Great Plains, Bayou Bay, Big Timber Falls, Stony Point Harbor, and Electropolis. Though most attractions, from a log flume to a stunt show, would be themed to U.S. locales and history rather than franchise characters, the park was slated to include at least one attraction themed to Charlotte's Web, described as a barnyard adventure. And the concept art, I mean, if you look, I remember when they announced this, the concept art looked really cool, and the fact that this was going to be in the Midwest, and this, I'm from Missouri, and this park, I think, was going to be like a 2.5-hour drive away. So we had actually said if they ever got this built, we would go check it out when we go back and visit family. And it had a lot of promise, but even from the get-go, it seemed very ambitious to put this, massive of a theme park just randomly in Oklahoma. Now we do have more on this from That Park Place that kind of goes into more about what happened here. But on July 19th, 2023, theme park fans across the nation got a breath of fresh and exciting news. A Disney-like theme park would be built smack in the middle of the United States in Oklahoma. The park was named American Heartland. It was confirmed to have a patriotic theme. Not only would this park promote traditional family values and fun, but it was also built by many former Disney Imagineers. Excitement for this project was felt immediately and rippled quickly throughout the theme park enthusiast community. This was backed by the Mansion Entertainment Group, which I am aware of them as I'm from Springfield, Missouri, and they're located out of Branson, Missouri, and there's a lot of things in Branson that they are associated with. So the initial announcement came from Larry Willwhite of the Mansion Entertainment Group. This entity currently owns and runs the Mansion Theater in Branson, Missouri, which has had its issues over the years, I will say, but they do at least have that. A good deal of funding was to come from wealthy benefactor 92-year-old Gene Bicknell, who once was the largest Pizza Hut franchise owner in the world with over 700 locations under his belt in the early 2000s. This was to be a $2 billion development project that would not only include the theme park, but a full-scale resort hotel and campground. And at the time, the initial announcement there was a great deal of excitement surrounding the news. He says, but personally, I was skeptical, and for good reason. I know a lot of people were skeptical, and it sounded really cool, but even at the time, you're like, we'll see if this happens, because there's a lot of things that get announced when it comes to theme parks. Typically Disney, I mean, even Disney many times announces things, and they don't do it. So even the big-time theme parks out there many times have projects that don't end up coming to fruition. But when you talk about a brand new, like, $2 billion theme park in the middle of Oklahoma, kind of randomly popping up, a lot of things would have to go right for that to really happen. And it seems like kind of from the get-go, there were a lot of red flags that popped up. It says, poor planning prevents proper performance. He says, full disclosure, I once worked for the Mansion Entertainment Group. Oh, okay. Back in 2003, 2004, I was contracted as a musical theater performer at the Mansion America Theater. I played the role of Reuben in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and several roles in a musical called Celebrate America, where I even held the role as a son to a character portrayed by none other than Gene Bicknell himself. I was also associated to a much lesser degree with Larry Wilwhite. Due to what I had learned from that experience, I had little faith in the American Heartland project when it was announced. Without going into great detail, let me just say that I saw a lack of organization while working at the Mansion Entertainment Group. The location also seemed unfeasible for resort and theme park, as that plot of land in Veneta, Oklahoma is smack in the center of Tornado Alley, a geographical path across the United States that sees the highest volume of destructive thunderstorms and tornadoes annually. At the time, I had said the same thing, because being from Missouri, that is, I mean, you're right smack in the middle of Tornado Alley. And I will say that is one thing I do not miss about living in the Midwest are tornadoes. You do have to deal with hurricanes in Florida, but you're aware of hurricanes coming. You get plenty of warning about those. You can make precautions. When it comes to tornadoes, there's nothing worse than being woken up at 2 in the morning with a tornado warning, and you got to take shelter. And having a theme park in the middle of that, I can imagine a lot of potential issues could pop up there, of course, just being right there. Says that alone seemed to be an insurance nightmare. Very valid point. From what I had seen 21 years ago at Mansion, I didn't think this group was up to the task. I reached out to them several times over the past few years, but got no comment as to the progress of the project. In 2024, reports started to come in of work on the project halting and unpaid bills beginning to pile up. There was another lawsuit as well. I think they actually had a lien on this project because of some unpaid invoices to, I believe it was the architecture firm that was involved. So it started having issues pretty soon after the announcement. It says, in the latest news came this week with KJRH2 News Oklahoma reporting with the headline, financial backer for proposed Veneta theme park files lawsuit in federal court. And Gene Bicknell is suing Larry Wilwhite and Stephen Hidrick, claiming $60 million in damages for being defrauded. Bicknell states in the suit that they executed a predatory conspiracy of psychological manipulation, convincing Gene through fraud and impersonation that God himself was commanding him both to finance the park's construction and to grant Solanskis and Wilwhite 2/3 ownership over the completed venture, which was to be worth $2 billion. And with that, it appears that American Heartland has come to an end before it even had a chance to begin. I mean, it's not really surprising about this. It's disappointing. And again, you look at the concept art. I mean, you're talking about a big theme park that was going to have X Imagineers behind it. It was going to be themed after America, be in the Heartland, which I've talked numerous times about how regional theme parks, I do think, are becoming much more popular. And you're even seeing Universal kind of lean into that with their Universal Horror Unleashed houses that they're doing, the kids resort parks that they're building one in Texas. They're probably going to be more of those throughout the country. Of course, you have like Dollywood, Silver Dollar City, which is in Branson. Like those have become very popular over the years. And regional theme parks are they're cheaper options. They still, the really good ones at least, provide really good value for what you get. And so I've said for a long time, I think regional theme parks make a lot of sense. It just really comes down to money. And it's not cheap to get into theme parks. And again, this was a $2 billion project that really never went anywhere. So whether or not they ever actually intended to do this is very questionable, I suppose. But they're sending emails to investors about how God is commanding them, God is emailing them that they need to do these things. And it seems like, I know Bicknell, I think he's like 92. So then you question about like, was he mentally capable of really understanding what was going on here? But it seems like the people behind this that were kind of, it seems fraud is the case here. They're very likely to get in some big legal trouble over this. And it's sad when you see things like this, because I do think in terms of the general public, like when you see something really cool announced and you're like, oh man, it'd be awesome. And if you're in that area, you're thinking like, oh man, we got another theme park you could go to here. And when things like this fall through, it makes it kind of difficult to get really community support for future projects, because a lot of people are just going to be like, okay, well, we've seen this before. And kind of, people get burnt once, and not that you can't do it, but again, you're talking about the amount of money to really do a park of this size. And regional theme parks many times will start small. Like Silver Dollar City started as a very small park long time ago and has grown into a much bigger destination. And they were really starting off just with very ambitious plans here. And you're talking, you look at that park map right there. I mean, that's a massive size park to put in the middle of Oklahoma that really would have been interesting to see it open, because I think it had the potential to be very good. But you got to talk about too is like, how long would it take to really make that profitable? Is there enough people that would come to Oklahoma to go to this theme park? And just also given the fact that you're in Tornado Alley, like there's a lot of things about this that had some question marks about it before you even get into apparently the shady dealings behind the scenes here. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of a theme park that Disney proposed to do long ago, which was going to be Disney's America, which was going to be a park based on the history of America. This was going to be in Virginia. This was proposed in like 93. And the whole point is that the focus would be on the nation's richness of diversity, spirit, and innovation. The park would be arranged into 9 sections, loosely focusing on significant periods of U.S. history. One lane would focus on the Founding Fathers, while others would feature a 20th century farm, World War battlefields, factories of Industrial Revolution. And the park would also cover some potentially controversial topics like turn-of-the-century immigration, Native Americans, and slavery. But they ran into issues with this as less than a year after the big unveiling. On September 28th, 1994, Disney pulled the plug on the project after facing months of intense national and local backlash. Fears ranged from unbearable traffic and the company's growing power and Disney's ability to sensitively portray the complexities of U.S. history. And a lot of it in the nitty-gritty of that one was a lot of the locals there kind of really pushed back against it. But very similar type of feel, like an America, themed theme park, I think has potential. I think you could do it, but obviously this one is not going to happen, as even their website is down and their Twitter page or Twitter X page. The last time they updated anything on this was July 4th of 2024, and they haven't updated anything since then. So I think it's safe to say that this project is completely dead and done, and now it is in federal court over this as well, and not looking good for the people that were emailing the other gentleman about being God. That's not a great look by any means to do that. Now, even though this one fell through, I still contend you do have a possibility of some company with really deep pockets to break into the theme park, industry more on a bigger scale. I've often talked about, you've got Netflix building Netflix houses. You got companies like Apple out there, like some company with really deep pockets. I'm not going to be shocked in the next 10 to 20 years if they decide to start maybe taking a shot at theme parks, just given, look at the revenue that Universal Studios and Disney, the Disney parks bring in per year. And Universal has shown that you can eat into a market where Disney dominates. And it won't come as a surprise to me, again, of a company that just has a lot of money. Look at, say, even Amazon or Apple or other, there's other tech companies that have lots of money that could look at the revenue that these theme parks bring in and decide that they want a piece of that pie as well. And not to mention, you talk about some of these companies, you're talking about streaming services and things where they're always going to be looking for extra things to increase their revenue, as streaming is very iffy. Linear television and cable is iffy as well. That's one reason why Universal and Comcast have gotten a lot more into theme parks, is because traditional television and cable have fallen off, and this is another way to boost revenue. And I still think you'll likely see this in the future about another company getting into the theme park game, whether that's in Orlando or another place, somewhere in the country. But I think when that does happen, and I think rightfully so, a lot of people should be very hesitant to just believe it right off the bat until it actually is open and completed. As many times these things, you talk about funding from various sources. You've got construction permit. You got a lot of things that go into building theme parks, which is amazing when you talk about what Disney's been able to build, what Universal has been able to do, and then opening Epic Universes. These things are not easy to open and run. And I think something like this shows that even if they had the best of intentions to open up this theme park, they very well may have gotten in over their heads when you get into the nitty gritty of it, dealing with designers, dealing with construction, dealing with, the overhead of not only just building the park, but just operating a park. And that's the other part about theme parks that is another element, is just the operations, how expensive it is to run theme parks. But if you're looking forward to the American Heartland Theme Park, I would say this one is pretty much dead, as that this is now in federal court. In this situation, I think it was a, sounded too good to be true type of situation, and that very much turned out to be true here. But either way, that is going to be it, though, for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about all this? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.